Alright guys, so today's video is about some changes coming to this car in the very near future, prep it for its first track day, and also just some other stuff that I just want to get done to this car to make it more dailyable, more enjoyable on the street. So we're going to get right into that. So the first thing I'm planning on doing is going to be installing a track slag 4-inch downpipe on this car. Now currently this car has a 3-inch HPA catted downpipe, and it did an amazing job on my IS-20 back when I was running that, but with this 3071R, there's obvious restriction in this car. You can feel it when you're driving it. It lags super bad, more so than a 3071 should. And I know for a fact that's part of the problem. So I'm gonna be swapping that up for a 4-inch catless. Now that I live where I live, this is actually part of the reason why I really wanted to move to this area, was so I could run a 4-inch catless downpipe on this car and not have to worry about having to swap downpipes or know a guy to pass emissions where I was living. Because part of the metro Atlanta area, when you live close enough to Atlanta, you have to deal with emissions. So I moved far enough away from Atlanta to not have to do that. So yeah, benefits for me there on that one. So we've got a catless downpipe I'm gonna get for this car pretty soon. Gotta see how the money looks. I don't know how soon it'll be, but hopefully before the November track day. Now the next thing, and this is the one I'm more than likely gonna do first, I'm looking at getting a new cat back for this car. Now I've been running the Borla S-Type on this car for close to 2 years. I got it without the resonator. I got it for a deal on Amazon. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys. Part of the reason I got it was because it was cheap. And it was on sale on Amazon, and everyone and their mother was like, you need to put a proper cat back on this car. The stock exhaust just doesn't cut it. And I really liked how this car sounded with just a downpipe and the stock exhaust. I mean, it's why I had 4-inch tips welded onto it. It sounded really good. But I caved to peer pressure, bought the cat back, and if I'm honest, when I didn't have the resonator in it that I have now, it sounded like crap. I hated it. I really don't like how this car sounded back then. With the Vibrant, it helped out a lot. It smoothed up the tone a little bit. It quieted it down a good bit. Still really loud though. And I don't know if it's just me getting old. I'm 26, I'm pushing 30, which I really hate to say. So I've kind of just gotten in the mindset of, I need to, tame this thing down a little bit more. For my own sake, I want a better sound out of this car. I want a deeper, cleaner sound. I want something that's going to be more like, a good sounding 180 or a really good sounding Mark 5, Mark 6. Because these things are hard to make sound good. And that's only because they don't have an exhaust manifold. That's the biggest holdback in terms of sound on these cars, is the lack of an exhaust manifold. Full port head sounds incredible on these things, but unfortunately, I'm not going to do that because that is something that involves way too much machining and built motor. I mean, you don't have to have a built motor, but crazy big turbo options and stuff like that. Not my thing. I'll keep the stock head. I just want it to sound good with the stock head. So I'm going to do the NVIDIA Q300 catback to replace it. It's on sale on BMP's website right now for $699. So it's a really good deal for a $1,200 exhaust. So I'm probably gonna wind up getting that first and running it with this setup for a little bit while I save up to get the track slag downpipe on this car. And then from there, there's 2 other things I wanna do with this car in terms of fueling and then software, which is the big problem I've had. So I wanna get a low pressure fuel pump in this car as well as MPI. So this car right now, the only fueling mod I have to it is the HPI high pressure fuel pump that's in this car. Yes, this car has quite a bit of HPA in it. So yeah, that does an okay job. I had a 034 high pressure fuel pump before and it sucked. Let me just be honest. I hate, being that guy, this company sucks. That was a poor quality part, and it was probably the worst thing I could have bought for this thing because it didn't flow well. I had, some lean issues a little bit, not super bad enough for trip to light, but I noticed the fuel trims just weren't right, and it had no fuel pressure in comparison to this. It was several hundred PSI down on fuel pressure versus the HPA pump, which is part of why the tuning situation wound up the way it did with this car, up until recently when the real problem started. But yeah, I want to get a low pressure pump. I'm looking into On Performance for both. They're working on their own low pressure fuel pump that is different from a traditional RS3 low pressure pump that a lot of companies sell, including EQT. Places like that sell RS3 low pressure pumps all the time. So that has been my main option, but if On Performance comes out with something that's supposedly better, that might be my option as well. SE Skunkworks also sells a crazy fuel pump with like a Walbro built into it, but I've been seeing a lot of people complain about problems with those, and they're also super expensive. MPI will also be through On Performance. They actually sell a really nice kit for $650. That includes a Euro manifold and the actual OEM fuel rail from Europe, the European GTIs that came with port injection. So that's an option. It comes with Bosch, I think 950cc injectors and a bunch of other stuff. So it's way cheaper than dealing with EQT or Precision Raceworks kits, which are just really expensive, and it's using OEM parts. So I would be happier with that. It keeps it more OEM plus instead of super big racy aftermarket. Precision Raceworks is probably gonna be my other choice, just because I like how their products have been proven for years. So, you know, that would be my other choice. But I'm gonna go with On Performance, not only for cost savings, but just due to the fact that it's using a lot of OEM equipment in their kit. So I think it'll be really beneficial for me having OEM quality parts versus running exclusively aftermarket stuff on this car. So that brings me to the software side. And that has been an absolute dumpster fire, to say the least, since December of 24. So to kind of recap briefly what's been going on with this car, I went to 3071R in September of 2023. And, you know, went through EQT for tuning, as I did before with the IS20 for a little bit. And all was fine and dandy. Matt tuned the car. He wasn't happy with how the fuel pressure was with the 034 pump, so I ditched it for the HPA pump, tried to send a data log in December, and it's been radio silence. Now, of course, Matt left the company, so obviously I can't blame him for that. I got a response from the tuning department email, which is like, we'll get back to you, send us a data log, and we'll get it dealt with. So I did that, no response. Emailed every couple of months, just asking for an update. I was not one of those that emailed every week. I was not one of those, because I know how that jams up email queues with companies and stuff like that. And knowing people that work customer service and tuning shops, it's a nightmare for them as much as it is for me. So I don't do that. I was very calm and was just like trying to be respectful. I was like, hey, I'll do what I need to do to help you guys out. Just let me know what I need to do. And so it was just back and forth with them over and over and over again. And so finally, I emailed the customer support line, got a, hey, I'll have the tuners check into this, and it's been continued radio silence for a month. So more than likely gonna be switching tuners in this car. And I hate to do that because I love EQT and I love the money. You know, I've spent a lot of money with them over the years to try to get this dialed in right, and you know, that money's kind of gone to waste now. But to get low pressure and MPI and the catalyst downpipe to all work with no check engine light, that's my only option. And if they're not gonna work with me, then I don't really have any other thing to do other than just to move on. So I've got a handful of options. I got a guy that's offering to tune this car in Simos for free. I'm thinking about looking into TVS. I know who runs TVS's US arm, and going with also Russell Road Racing as another option. So that's the plan for this car in the future. Hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope to hopefully bring some of these stuff pretty soon and we can get started with this car. I've got APR charge pipes at the house to go in this thing, so that'll be also pretty soon. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.